Hi everybody, I'm Dwayne MacEachern. Welcome to the Community from Within. Community from Within is a podcast, but this is my new YouTube channel, and I'm starting to work on some content, so this is going to be one of my first videos. You know, we're always building things, expanding the garden, or building a new chicken coop. I'm always in the workshop here fixing things, either fixing an old car or vehicle, or fixing tools, that sort of thing. I don't have a hobby, which is something that I want to do. So what I said in one of the last podcasts is I have an old vehicle on the property. I don't even know what year it is. It's between 67 to 72 GMC, and there's another old Chevy truck and beside it around the same year. I think it's around the 71. Anyway, I'm going to try to restore that old vehicle as my hobby. So I thought I would add to the podcast by creating a YouTube channel and document that whole process. But I also thought, hey, if I'm going to do that anyway, why not just start recording some other content, things that I do around the workshop. There's a lot of great YouTube channels out there, people doing restorations, fixing things, people with great skills and intelligence and experience. And I want to be clear about something. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. There's a lot of things I build and it doesn't work. Okay, but it's fun. So I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I guess that's it. Let's get into it. Episode number 1. We bought this property 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's about 3 years now. And one day last year, we had moved a bunch of chickens over into the side off to the south side of the house, and after they had been, scratching up the ground and stuff for a week or two, I was walking in the chicken yard bringing some feed, and I found this little mini sledgehammer just sitting there in the ground in the mud. Only problem is, one of the first times I went to swing at something, this is what happened. Can you see that? Broken! Obviously this handle's been sitting in water and mud for how many years? I can't see any markings on it at this point. It's probably just a generic little, could be Canadian Tire or something like that, where it came from, who knows. Anyway, so I'm going to build a new handle for this and clean it up, and I'm going to use this chunk of wood from my wood pile. The best wood to use for something like this would be ash, and I do have ash trees here on the property. And actually, 2 or 3 years ago, when we first moved here and we started doing some modifications around, there was one ash tree in particular we had to get rid of. It was in the way from some of the gardening things we wanted to do. So I cut down the ash tree, and I saved some chunks of it specifically in case I would ever have to make a handle for something, because it's ash, it's perfect. I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. I put some wood upstairs in the workshop here to dry. There's some apple up there and some birch, but no ash. I think I burnt it in the wood stove. It's gone. I believe it's just a chunk of rot maple. Maple is not the best. It's a very hard wood, and you think harder. Shouldn't that be better? But because it's a little bit harder, it's actually more brittle apparently. But as an exercise and something to do, and I mean, I'm not going to be using this every day. I'm not a blacksmith or anything. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll work. This is one of the best tables, by the way, for a workshop. If you don't recognize this, This is one of those hospital tables, the kind that they have in hospitals. It's absolutely wonderful for the workshop. We picked 2 of them up a number of years ago. Somebody, I don't know who had them, they're on the side of the road during the big garbage week or whatever. But they're great because they're adjustable. You can wind them up, wind them down, whatever you want. Anyway, off track. Roughly need a handle. I'm going to make it a little bigger in case I need to round some off. Going to cut that there. So the next part is how big of a chunk I want out of it. I don't need to use the whole thing, much of it. I could probably just cut it in half a little bit. I'm just gonna make an outline. So rough dimensions there, okay. Okay, so we got the, what's the word for that? The blink, I guess. We got a chunk. I'm going to just see roughly. Roughly like that. It's going to get smaller, right? Basically, I'm going to try to, what do I do next? I think the next step is actually get the chunk out of the hammer. Take this out. Still a chunk of wood in there. I have to knock that out. Okay, bring it over to the vise. Will it go this direction? It should. Voila! Okay, so I think the next step is to let's clean that up before we go to the handle making process. Okay, now we got that cleaned up. Unplug the compressor. I mean, I'm not trying to make it shiny or anything. I could probably. Hey, at some point there, I think it stopped recording, so sorry. This is where I'm at now. grinding it down until it actually went through. And I can hammer it right up to the top there. I probably, to be honest with you, may have made it a little too smaller than I should have. But it's okay. I'll work on this a little bit more to make it snug up in there better. Obviously the top part I can cut off when it's in there. So I can fit that on there, tap it in place, and then we'll cut that off and stick a wedge in there to hold it now. It's a little thicker than the original handle. I'm gonna smooth this down and make it a little more comfortable and to the appropriate size. Okay, that feels pretty comfortable actually. So the next step is to get this on there and snug it up. All right, let's move on. Let's have a chat for a minute. Most people, I would imagine, if they decide they're going to do a YouTube video on how to do something, they might try to figure out how to do it, or maybe already know how to do it. In other words, they should know what they're doing. I said before, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. And B, probably make sure you have all the things you need to do that with. I know somewhere in here I have, those little wedges for hammers and axes and handles and stuff. But I just spent the last, how many hours the last few weeks cleaning up this workshop so I could do things like this. And I can't find those wedges. Number two, AB number 2. I can't remember how to, I think I cut that a little bit, and then do I make a slit down there and then drive the wedge in? To use glue? I don't know. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to cut this off. Oh, you cut off hard, doesn't matter, because you can cut it off later. That's right. I think you got to glue it. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to make a slit down the middle, like that. And then I'm going to drive a wedge in there with some glue. Yeah, that'll work. And then once it's dry, I'll hammer the garbage out of this to make sure it's on there, first of all. And then, yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I got to make a wedge, so I'm just going to make a wedge out of a piece of wood. Okay, I'm going to make this short and sweet. Found this piece of scrap wood lying around. I'm going to cut it off here. First I'm going to go to the belt sander. I'm going to sand it down and make like a really thin wedge for my purposes here today. Sand it down, and then I'll cut it to the width that I need it to be. Le wedge! Woohoo! Okay, next. My shop is not heated. And this glue, I think, is quite old. And I think it froze. Oh, I don't think it's any good anymore. It's sponge cake. There might be some hope here. No. It's down there. Sponge cake again. I don't know if that would work or not, to be honest with you. It seems liquidy. It could work. Beggars can't be choosers. I would say that's liquidy enough. It's moving. I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. It feels sticky, so it might dry and work. It might be okay. That she seemed to have worked better than I thought it would. That's solid. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now, I think I'll let the glue dry before I cut that off flush. But while we're waiting on that, first I got the handle dirty already. I was going to put some varnish or something on it. We'll clean that up. Okay, I found some pine. It's a golden pine stain. This is bought a bunch of this a few years ago. It was on sale, deeply discounted. Sometimes that can mean it's garbage, but I don't know. I've liked this stuff every time I use it. I think it came out as like VOC free. It's like safe, non-toxic, and I don't know. People weren't buying it, I guess, so it was on sale really cheap. And cheap is a price I can go for sometimes. I keep I have my sock drawer in the workshop. I have a bunch of a box of rags over there. Anytime we lose a sock or a shirt that rips or things like that, ends up in the rag box here in the workshop usually, if it's not usable anymore. Come on. Okay. Not bad looking, eh? So we just have to wait until, I'll wait till tomorrow. Pick it up then. We're gonna wait until the glue dries here on the wedge. We'll cut that off flush. I think what I'll do then, I'll actually clean this up a little bit more. With some, like a liquid, like a tool cleaner or something. Okay, so here we are, back the next day. The glue has dried. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go cut that off flush. I'm just gonna use the sander. So let's flush. Okay, I'm just gonna lay out a piece of newspaper. I have here, this is called Extra Strength Tool and Parts Cleaner. I've never actually used this before, I've had it for a while. Just spray it down a little bit. And basically it's like a, it smells like brake parts cleaner or something like that. Now, I have the stain here from yesterday. What I need now is basically need like a paintbrush. See if I can get the spots I missed. Just to sneak down in there. I want it all to match. Just for the heck of it. And the top, I'll do the top. Around there. And now to finish it all off, I'm just going to I'll get another rag. I take some mineral oil. Ooh. Take some mineral oil. And I'll just rub that into the handle. It's going to darken up right now, but once it dries, it should lighten up quite a bit. So I like that yellowish kind of color that the golden pine stain is giving this hammer. And there, ladies and gentlemen, we have our finished product. Our first project here in the workshop, refurbished mini sledgehammer, 2 1/4 pound sledgehammer. And there's the original handle that was rotten and broke on the first swing after I found this lying in the mud. Let's go back over here. So my anvil is actually just a piece of rail. I do have a little mini anvil, of course, but anyway, so let's see if I can hit this and will it break or not. Holds up, feels good. Project number 1 complete. So there, we finished the hammer. And that's the very first project for the YouTube channel that will go along with the podcast. The podcast is called Community From Within. Go to communityfromwithin.com and use the contact form on the website to send me a message, send me questions, comments, that sort of thing. This has been fun. I'm happy. Got the first one down, first project down, and we got a ton of other projects to do. And hopefully by the time I go around to editing these videos, I'll come up with a title for the channel. I have no idea what I'm going to call it. But we'll think of something. And until the next project, have a nice day. Cheers.